So let's talk about your builder. What type of builder should you get? Now, you may say, should I get a commercial builder? Should I get a residential builder? And I think that either one can be just fine. As I'm comparing these two items, it is important that you've had someone who has experience building an assisted living. But I do not think it's a deal killer. I've used contractors and builders who have not built assisted livings, but I think if you are going to go that route, then it kind of falls back on you with setting up your systems and knowing how to either work with the architect or the engineer to make sure that they know everything that is part of the scope of work. So I'm trying to say, if you are not going to use someone who's built a local assisted living before, then make sure that the responsibility is on you, the developer, the owner, that they know everything they need to. And if you don't know those things, then perhaps you should consider either bringing in a consultant to help as a third party who has experience in that, or perhaps using a different builder, perhaps a commercial builder or someone who has built assisted living facilities in your area. So I don't think it's a deal killer to use a residential builder. In my experience, they are less expensive. And really, when I build these mansions, they are residential. They look and feel like a big, luxurious house, but there are commercial components to that, right? So I'm going to have my fire suppression system, my riser room. I'm going to have my alarm, some commercial kitchen items in there. The electrical may be Romex, it may be commercial electrical, depends on your local city and requirements. But some of these things are really not huge big deals, right? I'm not framing the building out of steel. I don't think it's a deal killer to go through to a residential home builder or a custom home builder. That's what I've done. Then in my experience, they're usually less expensive, but I would say I know all the little details, all the little ins and outs. And it's on me if they don't know it and it gets missed, because I chose someone that's not their specialty. So consider these kind of things, pros and cons on both sides of this. There's not a right or wrong way to go. Now, as you are looking for a builder, as I did this, I just started with price per square foot, right? I'm going to give them my plan set. You're going to give them your architectural stuff, all your engineering stuff, and you say, hey, here's what I have, and you'll probably have a meeting and go through everything together. Use the first one or the first couple as kind of a practice run for you to get all the little things you don't know about. They'll ask you a bunch of different questions, and that's a great thing. And don't feel like, oh, I don't know, I'm not gonna do it. No, go and talk to these people, go get bids, because they'll ask you a whole bunch of questions and you'll be learning along as you're going through this. And that way, the next time you go to a new builder, you'll have all of these other things answered, and you can put more detail into what your scope of work is. On the front side, it's probably easiest to kind of just get guesstimates of, what's price per square foot. If I'm going to build, a stick-built, big, luxurious house, what am I at price per square foot? And then maybe add commercial elements onto from there, like the fire suppression and things like that. And that's for the building, right? And then there's the site, right? So you're going to buy the land or the property, but then also what's the driveway look like? What type of drainage systems will I need? What type of utility connections is there going to be? And a lot of times the utility connections can be pretty expensive. As you're going through this, it's okay to kind of learn the first few times, and then you get the hang of it pretty quick. But so start with just the basic, what's my price per square foot for the actual building? And then, what is the estimated site work for X, Y, and Z? And the site work is way harder to estimate because, there can be a lot of volatility in that, especially with moving earth and things like that and utilities. But the building itself is easier to kind of give an estimation of price per square foot. So that's usually where I start. And then I'll go and I'll build out a detailed scope of work. And for my first one, I didn't do it, right? Like I had several different custom home builders that built out scopes of work for me. And then I took those together, typed them all out, and I made my own scope of work. And then I was able to put some numbers to it. So as I'm creating a scope of work, I want to have two kind of sides to this. I want to have my site plan, and then I want to have my actual building. So on the site, There's going to be all sorts of different things like, if you're building new construction, it's moving the earth, it's getting all of that stuff together, it's connecting my utilities, it's my road, it's my driveway, it's my landscaping, fire hydrants, anything like that has to be done, parking areas, gravel, DG, anything, your sign, your wall, your fences, all of those kind of things will go into that site section. Your sidewalks, there can be a lot of concrete stuff on that side. And then I'll create a separate part of the scope of work where it's actually my building, right? So I want to have step-by-step on this scope of work, right? So I want to have, my foundation, I want to know my framing, my plumbing, my electrical, my sheetrock, my paint, my kitchen, my cabinets, my tile, my quartz, all those different things. I want to line item them all out and then have a price for them. So as I am interviewing multiple builders, I can say, okay, here's a scope of work. This is what it is, line item by line item through this whole thing. This gives them the best opportunity to ask questions for you. And then you can compare apples to apples as you're doing this. So it's much easier on the backside, right? Like I build the same custom mansion every time. So my scope of work is exactly the same. It's very easy to say, here's all my custom things. Here's photos of what it looks like. You can come walk through. You can see what it looks like. Here, I want you to bid this out. Very easy the second, third, fourth time. But the first time, again, start with just the estimated price per square foot. And then from there, let them kind of build out the scope of work. And then take it yourself and start detailing these things in. Because you will get asked a bunch of different questions that you probably don't even know what those questions mean or what the answers are. And that's totally okay. But as you are answering these questions, you're figuring them out, then you can put that information into the scope of work under that like line item, right? Is it under the drywall section, right? Like what type of texture do you want? Then you can put it in, and you may not know, but you could just Google search it and put it in there, right? And the same with like your foundation, right? Is it going to be rebar? Is it going to be post tension, right? Like talk to your structural engineer about that, but then you can add that in. All of these different kind of things to continue to make a detailed scope of work so that you have the least amount of risk for change orders, right? So kind of gets us into the next topic there. As you are going through and creating your scope of work, getting your bids, then you're going to want to talk some details with these potential builders, right? Like some of these things are going to be timeline. How long will this take, right? Is there any of the items on here that are back ordered? Especially, post-COVID, some of these things are back ordered for months and months. Do we need to order them on the front side? So time frame, talk about change orders. What is the change order policy, right? What type of fee or percentage are you charging for those kind of things? And then same with draw structure. What is the draw structure going to be? When are you going to be asking for money at what increments? And how do I know whether or not these things are done? On that side, there are consulting companies that are for developers, for builders, right? You can pay them a fee and they'll come out like once a month. And it's, could be like $500, $800. They'll come out and they'll look at the scope of work, and your builder will request a draw, and you can say, they can be the bad guy. They're the professionals. They're going to walk through and look at every single item, right? They are professional engineers and builders, and they know when something's done right or to code or to your plans and to your specs, right? So before you pay them, they come through step by step, and they're going to check every time. And for me, it's totally worth the like $500 to $800 a month. That's one thing to do. Also vetting the contractor, right? You may go ask for references. You may even want to see like tax returns or financial statements or profit and loss. It may be that your bank may ask for some of those things, and they may insist that they do it. And I think that's a fantastic thing. I don't want to get stuck 9 months into the project and my builder disappears because they had another deal that went bad, right? These kind of things are happening. So I want the bank or myself to do the due diligence, and I have no problem letting the bank be the bad guy. They can ask for their tax returns and go through all their profit and loss and just make sure that they are above board and they're not doing anything shady, or they don't have any lawsuits or things like that, right? So that is really my overall for you for the builder. It can be a little bit intimidating on the front side, but after you talk to a few of them, you'll kind of get the hang of it. You'll learn the lingo, and it'll be all good.